Today, the goal is to paint an N99 Persuader tank in Trade Federation colors. And well, I've already kind of put a base coat on. And I see I've got a couple of the AATs behind me. And instead of just making it kind of silvery or metallic like you see on the films, I thought I'd want them to match my army a little bit more. And so I did some prep work already. In addition to priming, I did some kind of two tones of airbrush paint. We did a little bit of this mahogany as kind of a first coat, and then I think it was a little bit of middle stone over the top for Vallejo Air. And then I put some red in the eyes because I got bored last night. But I wanted to do more on it today. And I want to start with, I'm going to do these tracks and maybe the gun tubes and then the tracks underneath here, and then kind of see how that frames the rest of the miniature and see what other panels I want to do. I might do some alternate browns in here like I have on this one, or I might put some blues on here like I have on this one. I'm not really 100% sure about that. I think there's a couple of different options that we can go with. I think there's definitely some details and like little red lights and things we can do down here, and some chromed out silvery parts for some of the gears and some of these antennas. So there's a lot of that. Yeah. So I think that's good. At first I was thinking there's a black Templar's contrast paint that is really, really good for guns, and I was thinking of doing something like that. But since I have so much with all the track and all the guns, and I have my personal supply of contrast paint is running a little bit light, I'm gonna just take some Vallejo black and mix it, water it down heavily. Whoa, there we go. Getting a frog in my throat right now. So I've had a cold for a couple of days, and it's now starting to get over. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming out. I'm gonna start off. I think I'm just gonna start off doing the track, and I'm just kind of going from there. Is this gonna work? Yeah. Well, it's gonna take some time. Oh, and I'm getting little bits of this. I'm gonna have to go back over and I'm getting little bits on there, so I'm gonna have to go back over and retouch up a lot of that. So this is a really watered down black. Maybe I watered it down too much because I don't mind if I can still see some of the definition in here. You know, some of it still sort of shines through. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be hitting the sides of this a little bit. I guess that's okay. I can easily take some of that because I know which colors I used. I can just take it and just hit that rim up. Once I'm done, that's not a problem. And yeah, this will be fun. It's definitely not going to be canon. I don't think these guys were even, I think these were the Techno Union's tanks. Actually, I don't think they were Trade Federation at all. But I like Trade Federation colors, and I like for my army to have a little bit more of a cohesive kind of color scheme. And I think I think it'll blend in. So hello, everybody that's watching today. We're having a good time. We got some people chatting in, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today on a Sunday morning. Didn't have any videos go live today, so I figured I'd do a live stream. Got something really cool coming tomorrow. A new helmet review, and where I'm going to let you try it on. So that's always fun. I like doing that with my helmet reviews. You know, I'll say this was a real fun. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let me adjust my angle here. We're going to go down a little. There we go. How's that looking? All right. Yeah, this was an interesting model to put together because you have all these interior pieces and you can't see them. Like you can only see them when the model's like unassembled. But once you put the sides together, you really can't. I mean, I guess you can kind of peek through there and you can see some of those gears and stuff. But I know some people were talking about, oh, well, maybe we should start painting on the sprue, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never been one to really want to paint on the sprue. I can see why people do, but from my perspective, here's my take on painting on the sprue. If you're not going to see it when the model's put together, then why are you putting paint there? Like certain miniatures that hold like two hands on the rifle and they have the rifle tucked into their chest. I don't really care about getting the back side of the rifle because once I assemble the model, it's going to be tucked into his chest, and too watered down right there. It's gonna be a little, yeah. So like I'm like, all right, I don't really care. I can't see that. If I can't see it, it doesn't need paint. But I think some people probably disagree with that, and I think that just depends on your own philosophy. Yeah. I think one of the reasons that makes me want to kind of do painting a little quicker also is that because I play all 4 factions, I almost always have a backlog, and between this and then I have some terrain stuff that I'm working on. There's going to be some terrain painting videos coming, or not terrain painting, but there's going to be some terrain videos where I have kind of demoing reviewing some more terrain, and that will have some paint on it. So I'm trying to get those things done. I still want to finish putting together. I still haven't finished putting together my Dominion box for Age of Sigmar. So I want to do that and I want to get those primed and painted also. So I have a lot of different things that I want to do. So, if you play like maybe you're only painting. Oh, I've got Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff I need to do still also. So I can, I can easily get overwhelmed and stuff. So like I don't mind taking some shortcuts, even though Legion is the main game that I play for painting miniatures or for painted miniature. So I still want my minis to look good, but I have a definite bar I know that I've set where like this is a point where I don't need to worry about quality as much anymore. So I don't paint on the sprue for that reason. And I'm not worried about getting paint on like those interior components, because again, I'm never going to see those. Never going to see them. Okay. We will come back and fix all that stuff up. Not worried about that as much. Now, this bottom section is going to be tricky. I've got all of this in here. I need to maybe move my lighting over a little bit and I can adjust the angle so I can see that a little better. And maybe you can see it better too. So how's everybody's weekend going? There we go. That's much more brighter, direct. I don't care if I get paint on the base because I got some new basing materials come in. I'm going to be playing around with this thing. I'm trying some. I was using Green Stuff World's Crackle base for a lot of Clone Wars stuff, and I really like the Crackle mediums and the Crackle bases, and I decided to go for like a more of a crafty brand to see how it measures up. So I'm going to try some of that. Got some Vallejo texture stuff coming in too. So a lot of new things that I'm going to be testing out. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is I'm just using Vallejo straight black mixed with some water. Let's kind of make it go a little further. Vallejo has one of the best blacks, I think, on the market. It's my favorite black personally. It is it's a real flat black that's got a sort of a matte finish to it. It doesn't have that glowy, glistening kind of shiny black that certain other blacks have, and I really like it. It seems like it's definitely the best for me. I think I'm gonna use a different brush for that. This is a big brush I'm using here. This is an older brush too. This is one I'll often use for dry brushing stuff or stuff like that. but I just want to, I got this big old area right here. I just want to glob it on there. This is a good way to get a lot of that work done very quickly. I have a little in here that I need to get. And a little more in here. Okay. I want to do the gun tubes in the same black too, I think. All right, let me do that. All right, we're going to do the same thing. A little more. See, now this is heavily watered down. I can always do a second coat, but I want to retain a little bit of that recesses. I want more. I want a little darker than that. Oh, that's a lot darker. Okay, that'll probably work. Let me go over it again. If you put too much water in your paint, you start to get bubbles in, what I'm starting to get right now. But I just go back over it again. Let's see, are we on screen? All right. Would love to see an ATTE. Wow. Yeah. That would be huge, wouldn't it? I mean, I'd love to see that too. I love big miniatures. They're super fun to set up, and they can take they could be a pain in the butt to build, though. I'm going to say that right now. They can be difficult to build. This one was a difficult one to build. This one took a long time for me to get this one finalized and assembled and put together. This one took me like 2 days worth of building. So that was super time consuming. I mean, it wasn't a full 2 days. I mean, I didn't work on it constantly. I'll do a little bit and then come back and do a little bit and come back, so it took me twice as long as most other models do, or at least most other complex models do. Like, people usually don't take very long. Droids and humans and stuff like that, they're usually like 2 or 3 pieces. B1 battle droids are only a handful of pieces. They're not hard. Although it was interesting as though your definition of what's hard and what's not sort of changes over time. Because I remember when B1 battle droids first came out, I'm thinking like, oh man, these guys are so frustrating. They're so hard to put together. And now I've looked back and I'm like, oh man, those guys were so easy. This is still a little thinner than I'd like. You can still see some of that gray going through. And this is kind of how a contrast paint sort of looks when you put that on a little bit. So I'm just trying to control the exact pigment. I want it a little darker than this, but not totally black. Because I can always come back and add a little bit of detailing, like some silver panels to like a little, or like maybe this little ion cannon like piece that kind of sticks out. Maybe I can make that one like flat black. Maybe I can do a certain piece totally black, or maybe make a part blue or something like that. And that's always a fun thing that you can kind of come back and do. I need a little more darkness. Oh, there we go. That's it. So how's everybody been doing as far as holiday time? You've been seeing family, getting any let me check and see here. All right. Maybe add a little purple or pink. No, I'm not adding no purple or pink to this thing. You guys are funny. I did. I'll tell you what I did. Add a little purple or pink. I did this guy, my super tactical droid. I gave him a little purple. I'm not sure if I definitely don't think I'm done with this guy. I think I want to put a little more something else on him. But yeah, I think he's mostly done. I think this is definitely the scheme I'm going with. I'm thinking of maybe adding a little more metallic to parts of him, or maybe some rust or something like that. But that's because he's a little too bright there. But that is the scheme I went with for the S Super Tactical Droid. That's about the most purple I get. This guy has, I have a T series right here. I gave him Lando's extra cape. He's like Disco T series, but he has a purple base. So there's that. But yeah, I have a couple other guys I haven't finished yet. Like I haven't finished the Spider Droid at all yet. He's got like a base coat and then the red eyes. That's it. So he's got a lot of work I still have to do on him. But I don't think I'm doing any purple there. Don't think I'm doing any purple or pinks. All right, I need a smaller brush. I get some of the sides. I gotta get some of these tougher to reach bits right here. There we go. That's good. Less likely to screw up. Right here. Nice. Now I don't know if I think I'm gonna leave the wheels kind of the same color. I don't know if I'll go back and redo the wheels that are turning the tread in here. Although I think they could work for some silver, but I'd like to think. See, so when I was, it's tough for me to look at tanks and think like, oh, they should have all these colors, because when I was in the Army, I was in a tank battalion for a little while, and all of our tanks were painted like one color, right? They were all that kind of tan, that desert tan. And like every part of them like was the same color. Because are we back? Sorry about that. For whatever reason, just lost my connection to YouTube. Looks like we're back. I was just saying I don't think I'm gonna get a second Persuader tank. Considering that I've got the 2 AATs behind me. I've got more than enough heavies, and you can only run 2 in a list, so I can certainly always just run 1 Persuader and 1 AAT if I wanted to do a double heavy, or the 2 AATs, which I've only been able to do once. So, I think one of these guys should be sufficient. That's kind of how I've done it with most of the other factions. The first heavy that comes out, I end up getting 2, and then everything else, I'm like, all right, I only need 1. Only need 1. Like I've got 2 air speeders. I've got 2 AATs. I've got 2 saber tanks, and then 2 ATST chicken walkers, and only 1 of every other heavy. Just don't want that much. Okay. Oh, we're going to do the inside here a little bit more, even though a lot of that's going to get some basing material all over it. But at least get the most visible parts. And then some of this up in here. I don't know if it'll all be visible. Especially another thing that's important to think about is like you're looking at these usually on the table from the top down. Usually you're playing up here or up here, or over here, but you're never playing from like sideways or like, or from looking beneath, right? You're never like putting these above you and then looking up at your miniatures. So the most important parts are the top down kind of view. So that's another, like one of those areas where I kind of limit, like, okay, do I really need to do this? I'm not submitting this for a painting competition. Obviously, if you are thinking about, comparing it or submitting it for a painting competition, then you want to do a little more. But I am not that good. So, although I have some, I'm pretty proud of certain minis. I have some that I think are really good and have come out really well. And then and some of my earlier stuff is a little bit atrocious, but I've always had fun doing it. That's the most important thing. Okay, so I think that's most of the black bits that I needed to get. I think I'm going to clean up this stuff up here. And I want to say this was Middlestone. It's either Middlestone or wood. Oh, it might have been wood. Yeah, I think it's wood. All right. Let's see, how does that? Oh yeah, wood. That's definitely wood. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to take this wood. It's an airbrush paint. I'm just going to go back over this inside where we had our little whoopsies. And it's okay to have a whoopsie. And some of them, I mean, it could just be grime and dirt. Like, that's another cool thing about having something that's this big. You can have those little mistakes, and who cares? All right. I'm going to go on this side. Pull it up in there. It's another reason I wanted to wet the black paint down a little bit so it wouldn't be quite so thick, because it's hard to cover up black with a lighter color. Because once it gets on there, it's pretty dominant. So if you thin it out a little bit, you might give yourself a little more forgiveness, but not much. Not much. Okay. I'll have to come back. It's going to have to dry. I'll have to do a second coat. But we got a little bit of that cover up done. I got a little more up here to do. Right here. Oh man, that's, uh-oh. I put it on too thick over here. Now I gotta come back through with with the black again. That's funny. It's okay. I'll go back through a couple of times probably. We'll let all that dry. So that's kind of like a good start, man. That's a really good start. So I want to do let's see. I want to do the eyes. Because I put some red down, but they got that slit in between. And maybe I'll do, I don't know if I want to do the blue. I think I kind of like these two together a little bit more. So maybe a little yellow in there. I think yellow is going to work. I'm going to do Vallejo flat yellow. Got some already in here, but I'll get a little more. And I'll moisten that up a bit. And so I just want to get inside this eye slit. Oh, I'm going to get some out. I know it. Then I'll just come back around and clean it up. I did a real dark red. I see it's so tight in there. I'm trying to like that's why I went with a lot of water on this brush too. So I wanted to let the paint just kind of like kind of seep into the rest. Just kind of push it down. And it's like, go ahead, flow into that crack. Almost like a wash. Okay. Oh yeah, wow, that looks super creepy on there. And I'll take some more red once this is all dry and go over and clean up the tops of that. Actually, I can probably, if I clean my brush off, I can probably pull the excess off. Right now, let's see. Some of it, nice. All right, so we are, let's see, what are we doing here? Let's do some silver. I want to do, because even though it's not as tactical, I want to do some of these gears, these supports that are holding them in silver. Now, one of my favorite silvers right now is Vallejo airbrush silver. It's super thin. It's good for coating larger pieces, and a lot of metallics, for whatever reason, they dry out really quick. So as far as, and of course, and you can also put it in the airbrush. It works really well in an airbrush as well. I'm gonna try and just do the bottom section here. And I will have to definitely come back and put a wash over the top of this because it'll be too bright for the rest of this mini. But there you go, you see. Let me zoom in. Any tips for painting on a budget? Mix your paints, I think. What I would do is, if I were starting all over again, I'd get cheap brushes. Like I go to the hobby store, I get a $5 pack of brushes, and try to wash them and take good care of them, so they'll last you a little bit. And I'd get like a Vallejo set of like all the primary colors, and then mix your paints. So you don't have to buy 1,000 different shades of red, and you'll probably need the most of white and black. So this way you can make darker, muddier things, or lighter versions of existing colors and stuff like that. But the Vallejo primary color set, like, is on Amazon. I think it's like $40 or something like that, 40, $50. And get yourself, you can go with a regular palette. I've been using a wet palette, and it kind of helps your paints last a little bit longer. So that's a fun option that you can go with. Let's see, try and get in there. Get this piece connected. Boom, boom. See, I'm not gonna get the bottom. I'm not gonna get underneath it because I'll never see that part. But I do want to try and get as many angles as is likely to be seen. So down here. Okay. That's a lot brighter than I was anticipating. Have you played with this unit yet? If so, what do you think? I have not played with it yet. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be how different it's going to feel than the AAT. I'm not sure. I mean, what my thoughts are right now is that what I would like to do with it is use it to transport some B2s closer to the front line, or maybe a radiation trooper B1 unit closer to the front line. They get some poison tokens out there or something like that. That could be fun. That's what I think I'd like to try and do, but I'm not certain yet exactly if it'll be worth the points. I imagine this will be a unit that doesn't die very often in battle. I think it's going to be one of those units that's kind of like the ATST that's going to live and be like one of the last things standing. I think the ion built in, the fact that it's got 2 weapons built into it, works really well with the arsenal keyword. So you're not really having to make decisions about which heavy weapon you're going to take, also which ordnance you're going to equip, and how now it's going to become a 200-point unit after you give it all of its upgrades and everything. You don't have to worry about that as much like you used to with the ATST. That was always a problem with the Chicken Walker. It was like, all right, I've got this expensive unit, but now I have to add General Vice and all these other expensive things. And I'm glad like we've seen point cost reductions on a lot of that stuff. But oh man, that's bright. Look at that, that's bright. So we could also come in here and start adding some touch-ups on some of these little, like these little rivets in here. We could do some silvery parts up there. I can do some of these right here. Maybe just part of it. There we go. I'm just doing some different things. It's funny because I don't always even have a plan. I had a little plan. I wanted, I wanted to get the black on there. I wanted some Trade Federation colors for the most part. But the rest of the stuff, I just don't have a plan with. I'm just like, well, let's just see where it takes us. I kind of wish there was like an undo button. I guess you could do like a paint, like a utility or something like that to see like, hey, how would it look with this color in this highlight? Oh, nope, don't like that. How would it look with this one? Like that'd be a really fun utility if somebody made like a little website and it pulls up like a model of like just this and everything's color coded and you're just like, do you do like your coloring book and you're like, no, I don't want that, especially if it like factors into like existing paints and stuff and has links to the paints and you can buy them now if you want, You could dial in the paints that you already have. You could experiment with new paints. That'd be a cool type of website to do. I'm surprised. Well, maybe it already exists. I bet you it already exists for 40K. All right, so we've got some chromed out pieces, just a few. Definitely leaving the top because I'm gonna probably add. I've got some rust effects. I'll probably put some little rusty bits on here. Oh, we've got this handrail in the back. That is definitely getting chromed out. I don't want to do too much chrome because then it looks kind of cheap and gaudy. I probably already have done too much chrome as it is, but oh well. This is where I draw the line. This will be the last part. And I'm gonna try to de-gaudify it by putting a little bit of probably Agrax Earthshade over some of the chrome once it's all dried up. Okay. Oh, we've got some of this in here. And I could do, what would probably work better too, instead of this kind of shinier silver, is like more of a gunmetal color for some of these interior parts would work really well too. Let me see what else. See what else I've got, because I had a nice one. Which one is it? You gotta look through. Here we go. I'm gonna see how this is. I'm gonna try some lead belcher for some parts. It's definitely giving you the metallic feel, but much less shiny. And we actually have some lead belcher. So let's see what we can do with this. Get some of that out here. I hate Citadel's pots. I really prefer the squeeze bottles. I've had so many Citadel paints just be completely thrown in the trash because I used it one time and then it didn't seal all the way. That's nice. See, now that is not as shiny, but fits into this scheme a lot more. Actually, maybe I should go over some of these gears and do the lead belcher on top of them instead of the shiny silver. I think that's probably a better idea. I think I'm going to do it. Oh, because it's got that base underneath, it's going to be still going to be shiny. That's okay. it'll grime it up a little bit. All right, I'm going to cover the rest of this too. And lead belch is also really good to dry brush over certain things too, to give it a minor kind of metallic glistening, but it just makes it a little more subdued, because I was thinking these looked a little too bright, especially in contrast to the darker colors that everything else is. Yeah, that's better. Usually, I think the proper thing to do would be to go with the darker color first, and then you, on your highlighted areas, you can add a little bit of glisten with the brighter silver. But that's okay. I don't mind making little whoopsies. Like I said, it always happens. It's an adventure. All right. Let's see, what else do we want to do in here? Definitely got the antennas. At least this one. Yeah. I think I'm going to find another brown to put on here to add an accent color for some of the panels that will not clash too much with everything else. Because that mirrors at least one of my AATs. The other one I did like a turquoise blue, and I don't think I want to do that on this one. Okay, now let's go take a look at our browns here. Orange brown might be a decent kind of similar but just off color brown for some of the panels. So let's see, what else do I have in addition to that? Got a chocolate. Oh, I got chocolate brown, and I've got flat earth. I think I like the chocolate brown better. Yeah, that's what we're going with. And of course, if you're on a budget, then just mix your own and mix it a little darker. You know, I could take the same brown and mix a little black in there, or a little red in there, you know. All right, so what I want to do is just get a couple of panels here. Make sure I get a little water mixed in, make it nice. Losing our connection, but there we go. We've got a little bit of brown in here. There we go. Okay, and we can add little patches like that, sort of all over. I'm gonna do this other side, and I might wrap things up here shortly since I seem to be having connection issues. Oh, another little tip is, even if you're trying to paint straight lines or whatever, or trying to stay accurate with your painting, it can be tricky. And I have shaky hands a lot of times, but I always try to anchor myself, like where my hand is. Oh, and I'm not even on the screen right now. Like, I have part of my hand, like my elbow's on my knee, and the other part of me is on the table. So I have that kind of controls the, helps a line kind of go straighter when you're trying to do that sort of thing. Granted, it's not perfect, but that's one little tip. Don't just hold things up in the air like that. Like I have this hand hold, this is on the table, and then the other part of it is here. So I'm actually triangulated on the ground. I got like three points of contact on the table right now. And even like when I'm doing this, even my pinky touches this for the hand. So there's a lot less wobbling, a lot less wiggling and wobbling. Okay, there we go. So I kind of like some of the things that we got going on. This isn't finished yet, but I'll be doing some more. Maybe I'll post some more on social media. What is going on at the? So let's see. You're torn between getting a He's torn between getting this unit or getting an ATST. Which one would you recommend getting? If you're a beginner, which core set do you have? I think that's a thing. Or if you're just a beginner painter, I think the ATST is probably an easier starting point. It's almost all gray, and then you have very little that you'd have to really worry about. Then you could just work on some different shades of gray and work from there. Plus, I think the ATST is the best looking physical model in Star Wars Legion. So, although this one is actually a pretty nice looking model also, but the ATST is just gorgeous, and it's something that I love, and I always love to run two of those because it's so pretty. So that's something that I guess that's my take. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, it's a real life Crabbok. Am I heading to LVO this year? No, that all that stuff sold out in like the first day, and I'm somebody I don't, I'd like to more time and make a decision, especially the way COVID has been. I didn't want to. I booked flights to two different conventions that got canceled because of COVID already. So I'm very much what you would call twice shy right now, or maybe thrice bitten, or thrice shy, or whatever. So I'm very much afraid to book travel. I've lost a lot of money on travel plans that ended up having things canceled and stuff like that. And tournament, actually, it was multiple. It was more than two. It was a three, because there was another Armada tournament, a big like grand championship. I had also booked stuff too, and a lot of that stuff kind of just ended up going away. So I do think it's probably safe to start planning things now, but all the conventions coming up right now already have too many things sold out. Like LVO's got a lot of stuff sold out, and so does Adepticon. Like the hotel there that I wanted to stay at next time if I went to Adepticon is already fully booked. So my next big convention will be Gen Con, and probably, and then after that, maybe next year, or maybe the following year, there'll be some more big conventions. Oh yeah, that Gold Squadron. Yeah, they're that's a great crew. I usually try to hang out with Dion. Well, at least once a year when I get to see him at some of those conventions and stuff. So it happens from time to time. It does occasionally. It's been a long time though. It's gonna feel real good to see a lot of folks with the next big convention that does happen. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today. It's been fun. I've got more work that I can do on it, but we've got some things kind of started here, and it's starting to come together. All right, guys. I will talk to you guys soon. I want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me today, and big thanks to my patrons. Don't forget to be on the lookout for the 12 days of Life Day giveaways. They've been happening all over the place. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.